not the catalyst. Mega Bonk has insane replayability. Each level is broken up into 3 different areas. Those 3 areas have 3 difficulty tiers: challenges, quests, unlockable items, characters, weapons, tomes, skins, maps, secrets. It's stacked with a ton of different content. Combine that with how fun the game is and how mechanically satisfying it is.
I think also giving people like a checklist of things to do. The reason why the checklists work in some games and not other games is that they feel good to accomplish. And like, I don't know, like this is going to be like a very, very narrow World of Warcraft example. But in World of Warcraft, there used to be like achievements for every raid where it was like in Ulduar, for example, okay, well, you have to kill, there's like a big guy and a little guy, and the big guy is really hard, and there's the little guy that's easier. And so, like, there's an achievement where it's like you have to kill the little guy first and the big guy second because, you know, usually you'd do it the opposite way, right? Like, just theoretically. I'm thinking of, like, you know, like the fucking, the 3 Iron Council guys, right? And so, like, there were all these, like, different achievements that were for playing the boss and doing the boss differently. And achievements in the game in general were always something that was unique, right? Where it was like, okay, well, you know, go and fight this boss with, like, this, you know, restriction or something like that. But then as time went on, achievements became more like do 2,000 pet battles, do 10,000 daily quests. And achievements became just like these weird, just like very, very long form, like tally boards for like how much of my life have I been wasting. And that was one of the reasons why I kind of like lost interest with like farming and doing a lot of achievements, because they just became effectively participation rewards. They were no longer interesting. There was no longer like a strategy that you would have other than how can I just repeat the same activity over and over. And I think that a lot of video games, like they basically, they create content by just adding a 0 next to whatever your goal is, right? So instead of getting 1 of these things, you have to get 10 of them. Instead of getting 10 of them, you have to get 100. You're playing a gacha game. Instead of getting 100, now you've got to get 1,000. And that doesn't really improve the game. It doesn't really make the game any better. Just because you make something take longer to get doesn't make it feel any better or worse. Like a great example of this is like in Metaphor Refantasio. So you can fight a dragon like right after you beat like one of the earliest like kind of challenging bosses, right? And you can choose to fight this dragon or not. And if you kill the dragon, you immediately get a weapon that turns your attacks into fire damage, and it's a very, very good sword. It'll be a good sword for a long period of time in the game. And you don't need to like farm for this. You don't need to like spend a lot of time doing this. You just have to beat the dragon and get the item. And I think that there's a lot of people that, you know, like a lot of the Mega Bonk rewards, for example, like each of the different goals that you have to have, they're not ridiculous goals. They're just like, okay, kill 1,500 mobs or 15,000 mobs, which in this game is super fast. So they're not these like super hyper long form achievements and goals that just waste your time arbitrarily. And I think that's one of the big issues that developers have, is that they see players like checklists, and so they add checklists, but they don't understand like the psychology behind it. They only understand the thing itself.
To play.